DNA, the unique code that gives identity to every human being, as individual as a fingerprint. Until now. Nature. One sperm, one egg. The result? An individual with equal parts DNA from a mother and a father. And the only way higher life forms can reproduce. Until now.
Science has got us to the point now where we can reproduce plants, animals, even humans, as easily as making copies on a printer.
Custom copied from any original. People made in the lab and not in the womb. Genetically modified multitudes for whom the term individual has no meaning. 1996, Edinburgh, Scotland. A domestic sheep is born in the laboratory of an animal research institute. Dolly becomes the world's first mammal cloned from the cells of an adult. Reaction to the announcement of her birth is swift and passionate.
And it took over 200 attempts to create Dolly, the first cloned sheep. Each of those failed attempts would mean aborting hundreds of embryos.
Dolly died very early. Dolly had blood problems, various organs failed.
Were her faults as a living creature, all of the health problems that she did have, was that due to her being a clone? And it's probably safe to say yes.
With each generation of clone, you introduce more chance for catastrophic failure.
Many embryos die before birth when cloned.
Animal cloning is rife with failures. Stillborn calves. Lambs born with defects that make life excruciating and bring early death. Davos publicly predicts a 30% success rate. What happens to the other 70% of clone attempts is a question which leaves many people wondering.
70% of these children, by your own words, would be born mutated and have to be destroyed. It is a disgrace. It is a violation of human justice and human rights.
Hybrid embryo.
The possibilities are endless. From man-chimpanzee hybrids to dolphins with human hands.
What if some super rich guy wants to create a half-horse, half-man creature that he can keep locked up in a cage or in his backyard? What is that? Is that considered a human with rights? Is that considered an animal that he can keep chained up?
So a company finds the workers it needs and likes. Then they take a small tissue sample, and from that tissue sample, they mass produce their entire workforce. Tireless field laborers, docile factory workers, whatever. It's a high-tech, big-money version of slavery.
If those humans have no rights whatsoever, but are an exact carbon copy of that dictator, now you, in theory, have this brigade of super soldiers.
All it would take is one perfect specimen. Just as any home computer can create countless perfect digital copies, so a military lab could manufacture an unlimited number of flawless warriors.
If you created a human-cloned army of super soldiers, they would be expendable. They wouldn't have a family to go back to. They wouldn't have any life to go back to. They would just be doing the dirty work of their master.
Such a race of cloned super specimens could embody whatever qualities their maker found desirable. Beauty, athleticism, talent, strength. The result would be a world increasingly populated by the perfect.
It's called eugenics. And cloning is a shockingly effective way to achieve it.
If a leader wanted to achieve that perfection, they wouldn't allow people to reproduce anymore. We would be literally dictated on who or what we would have as a child.
Clones can be created from a variety of human cells, and they don't always have to come from a living person.
The issue about working with diseased tissues is obviously fascinating to me. If I take a tissue from a live person and I freeze it, or I take it from a deceased individual that freshly died and I froze it, there's no difference between the two tissues.
For the first time in history, doctors don't just get to decide who lives or dies. They get to decide on who's created. Think about that for a minute.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go.